Yes, now this is live. It says so. Okay. Hopefully that looks alright. Do I look good on camera? I look good.
So
Perfect.
good,
A lot
Tommy.
of hair. Hello.
Hmm.
Hi, John. Hi, Masa. Um,
Right.
so, so basically, this is the first time we're going to try this. It's going to be like a hangout about stuff that we want to discuss. That instead of doing it via email, we're going to do it via video. We're going to do it via Hangouts. Let's try this platform. So now probably people see that on YouTube. They can go and check out on YouTube. And now this is also recorded, I reckon. So yeah, since we're just three, we're gonna keep it
Uh-huh.
short and sweet. And yeah, it's not gonna be just me talking. It's gonna be like a discussion. So the way that I thought about this is, since we have some questions that we could discuss, why not open, this for everybody to say what they think about certain issues, and this way maybe we can learn something. And it seems that if we do this and more people attend, we can turn this into a regular thing with some good format. I've prepared like a little outline here, so the more people we have, the more valuable it's going to be. Like a little outline, like a first of all meet and greet. Introducing each other, 1 2 minutes, who we
Hmm.
are, and then a little introduction about the topic of this episode, what we're going to discuss, and why it's important. Then a quick review about some questions that got submitted beforehand, the main struggles, like a little outline, requesting people to tweet, things like that. And then we can have the main discussion, like the juice of the whole thing. We can discuss, we can start saying, what we think, obviously in a way that people don't interrupt each other, and we can record everything. And then at the end, we can have some Twitter Q&A if I open this up for other people to watch as well. Only patrons can be part of this, but the others can watch and they can send tweets. And then at the end, we can have some. I can start outlining some things that you say. You might say something interesting. I can write it down, and then everybody can start saying what their takeaways are and what my takeaways are. And then at the end, we can have a goodbye, like closing thoughts, some call to actions maybe, or maybe some person performing a song, with a guitar or something. So that could be very nice. So yeah, this could be. These were some thoughts. It's an early stage, obviously. So now we'll just start doing it in a freestyle, so we can see where it's gonna go, and we'll see how it's gonna turn out in the future. So yeah, just introduce a little bit of yourselves, John.
All right. Hello. Hello, Tommy. And what is your name? The
Masa.
Masa.
Masa. Hello, Masa.
Yes.
Where
Hello,
do you
Masa.
live? I've
Uh,
introduced myself, but
I live in
could you introduce
London.
you? Oh, in London. Okay.
Yeah, the area called Belsize Park. It's
Ah,
quite
okay.
nice. Yeah. Yeah. It's a sun. Yeah, it's cloudy. It's. I know it's quite sunny now. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I live out in Sacramento, California, so it's
Wow.
pretty far away, and it's about
Right.
five in the morning here,
Wow.
Oh
and
gosh.
as Tommy knows, I've been up all night
Yeah.
because that's what I do. Um, yeah, and let's say I'm a music artist. My
Yeah.
website's johnkyle.com, and I used to be in bands and in duos and things, and just recently I've struck out on my own and been doing working as a solo artist
Mm.
and pulling all of the songs that I've written over the years and some new ones, and I'm in the process of kind of fleshing them out, performing them live, and recording them.
Mm.
And I'm really happy to have met Tommy and found him. I followed him online for a while, and then I participated in the in a workshop and also the music business models project. And I really think Tommy's brilliant and has some good ideas about how to succeed as a music artist, and have kind of a holistic view of how an artist can also approach what they do with a business sense in mind, and that they're not contradictory, that it can be an integrated thing, and it's I really like that idea. Yeah, so in a way, if this subject of this hangout is our albums, I'll talk about that later. But just as an introduction, it's perfect because I'm taking these songs and thinking about whether to, how to release them. Is there a concept album in there? Is there a Pink Floyd The Wall or a Radiohead OK Computer aspect to these songs? In a way, there is, but also I won't have them all ready in one batch.
Mm.
So anyway, that's me. My music's kind of alternative rock, guitar driven, uh, but but it's I experimental as well.
Mm.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you, John.
Hmm.
And Masa.
Yeah, my name is Masa. I'm in a duo called O-Arc. O-Arc written O-ARC. I have a music partner called Neil Mason. He plays mainly electric guitar, and I play acoustic guitar and sing. So um, our music is kind of poetic, atmospheric, hypnotic songs, which is I can describe in two ways. One is stripped down Radiohead, because we don't have a drummer and a bass player, so just a duo. So strip down everything the Radiohead has with the drum and the bass. So quite simple. And another way to describe is because I play acoustic guitar, people say that especially when I do a bit of a solo stuff, people say Nick Drake sounds a bit like a Nick Drake. Do you know the artist called Nick Drake? He's
I do.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I love Nick Drake. Yeah.
Yeah, he's dead already, but he's a genius, from my point of view. And so Nick Drake with ambient guitars. This is about how we described. But it's not really a mainstream pop music, but it's still pop music, but it's a lot of experimental elements to it. And lots of people said our music is great for soundtracks or maybe for music for the films or TV. Unfortunately, we haven't got any luck at the moment. Only the luck we had is, I think, partial. One of our songs was used for some soap opera called the Hollyoaks in the UK, but only like just fragments of songs. We got royalties, but it's just really, really, really low exposure. So this is only the exposure, quite like a mainstream exposure we had, but just really tiny. But because of the nature of our songs, we try to do our own ways and try to play in let's say, a bit of unusual places, or gallery spaces or museums. And last gig we did was we played in a little gallery space, which is kind of like a white cube, but a lot of paintings around us. And it's a little gallery, so we did an acoustic session. Neil plays acoustic guitar, and it was really enjoyable, and we had good feedback. Yeah, and then today's topic is about not releasing probably albums, maybe just singles. How to release albums. We are still writing 3 songs, nearly done, but we have to tweak it, and probably we can release it probably towards the end of this year. But not album, probably singles. 3 songs are probably ready soon, but one is a bit different from other 2 songs. So maybe we are thinking 1 song for 1 single and 2 songs for 1 single. So yeah, this is what we're doing at the moment. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Cool. It's cool. It really struck me now. We should have done this, a lot earlier, introducing, each other, who is part of the whole project. Because probably you don't know each other, but I know you all, and I'm talking with you, but you don't know each other. That's really something that should have happened before. I think the next one is going to be like a introduction, who each other is.
Yeah, because I
Yeah,
think I'd really like to hear the music you do, Masa, because it's like I
Oh,
like the
great.
same. I like the same. I have the same tastes, I believe. You know, some of the same
All right,
tastes.
that's great.
That's cool.
do we have a chat here? Yeah, I think there's a chat, guys. There's a chat. Let's include. Okay, basically, I'm going to include your links. Can you include your best links, two best links in the chat, so I can include them afterwards for everybody else? So there
Okay.
is a chat
Chat.
function. Just write a couple of your links
Ah,
over
this is
there.
the chat. Okay. Uh,
So while you're doing this, so basically, some questions that we can talk about today is first of all the one that's on top of mind
yeah.
is should I release an album or should I release singles or should it be EPs or should I just release demo songs as I write them and why? So this is one question. I'm going to write it in the chat so we can have it as reference.
Hmm.
Should I release an album or singles or an EP or demos as I write
Where is it?
and why? So this is one question, for example. Um, Another question is the main question. What is the story behind your album? I mean, if we are releasing, I think every artist has released at least one album that is a solid thing, to be released, not just singles, like a pastiche of singles, but a solid thing that has a story. So what is the story behind the album? This is another question.
Hmm.
What is the story behind your album? Because I'm pretty sure that every artist um, has made a creation for some reason. And this is the reason behind the album. That's why we create albums, because we have a reason to we have reasons to express something, and this expression is coming out through different formats. Album is the most popular one, or at least in the past. Now different formats start, getting more popular. So what is the story behind your album or any of your albums? Um, any I can tell you why I came up with this question, but I would like to see if you have any more questions yourselves at the moment.
Uh,
Um,
those are. I don't have any questions. I have some answers about.
Any
great.
questions that we
Say
can
about that.
answer? Um,
Pardon?
if you have any questions, so we can answer these
Oh,
questions.
Uh,
I
uh,
see. Uh, well, related to both of these questions.
No, any question related to the topic of albums and
Well,
oh,
I can tell you, I have not released anything yet except for that one song that you see up on my website. It's called Rosemary, and I I like the idea of releasing singles, but at the same time, there is a conceptual
hmm.
um, relationship between the songs that I have. I do have, and the same as Masa. I think
Hmm.
I've got about three or four of them pretty much ready that I could say, okay, I can. They're arranged, they're fleshed out. I'm performing them. Then I have another that are kind of still not quite all the way there yet. The lyrics are mostly written, but so I don't know. I guess my question I guess I see myself as kind of old school. Like I already mentioned Pink Floyd's albums or Radiohead's, or I always loved these concept albums. These
Hmm.
there are some of the Beatles things, and
Hmm.
um, the later stuff was very conceptual and very related.
Mhm.
But I guess that's my question. Maybe to you, Tommy, as you've researched this or looked at into different options here. There's no reason why the singles can't be part of a concept, even if they're
Right.
released.
Hmm. Well, what I've heard about some, I once talked to the person who's working for magazine. They release in the physical magazines, and then unless we release something, they're not going to cover us. as article for
Right.
their articles. So if you release something, even though EP or single, even little release, then they will make an article about it. But so I kind of go for releasing the singles or EPs than album, because album takes a long time. But if you can release, let's say, singles every 6 months, it means someone will cover your or review your songs in every 6 months, so you get more exposure.
Hmm.
That's interesting.
Mm.
Okay, that make yeah, that makes sense. That what you say, Masa. I didn't
Mm.
know that they will not cover you unless you have released something recently. This kind of makes sense. Nobody wants to cover something that has been released a year ago or something. They want to cover novelty, you know. They want to
Yeah,
be part of the momentum, so it makes kind of sense.
yeah.
But yeah, your approach makes a lot of sense to release something as a single, so you can have more chances to be covered,
Mm.
and you
Mm.
can have more time as well. While,
Mm.
as John said, there's no reason why singles cannot be part of a story. So you keep
Yeah,
releasing, unfolding the story, but not all in one bunch. You just do it in singles, in episodes, let's say.
mm. Mm. Mm.
And
Yes,
on
yeah.
the same time, that's great time. That is great, so you can take feedback from your fans as well. So you can start releasing a single while you have a few demo songs ready, waiting, and then you can talk with your fans about them. Just a few
But
thoughts.
yeah,
I
um,
like that. Yeah, I like it.
but also I liked it, the fact that someone released an album. Is plenty of songs, like 10 songs or 12 songs, especially if you try to make some conceptual album, like let's say Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band by the Beatles. You you have to listen to the whole album, otherwise you don't enjoy it. You can enjoy each songs, but enjoyment probably is it is bigger if you listen to the old albums in one go. And but I just find it really hard, because it's people buy just one song from iTunes, one song. Then, but they're not. Then they just choose like their own kind of a collection of album.
Mm. They make their own albums.
Yeah, yeah.
Their playlists
So
become the new albums.
yeah. So
Uh, yep.
yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking that what you were saying, that you release one song and then you tell your fans and then you release another song. Maybe I'm thinking, maybe if you do it too frequently, maybe it starts becoming a little bit annoying. Like,
Yeah,
hey, 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 buy this song on
yeah,
iTunes. Hey, yeah, do that. It needs to be more
but
part of. It's better if it becomes more like part of a story
yeah,
Yeah,
than just
I was saying.
another excuse to bug your fans.
Yeah, it's like you've got to create a story, and if you can turn that releasing uh, what's the word? That method into part of the story. Like if I release my first song, Rosemary, I could say, that hints at some of the themes, and then the next song was coming in a month or so, or a few months, whatever it is, and then it's like there can be some of the mystery to it, and
mm,
can play a game with your fans almost, or and say, what here, how this is forming, and not that you want to say what do you guess this is about necessarily, but there is a common theme here, and
mm,
I don't know, there is a story, forming. I guess what I was saying is, or seeing to myself, I love. I think that's what we have to do as artists and musicians. Even though we might want to just play the music, we've got to form the narrative of
mm,
ourselves as artists, and also as what these songs mean to us. And it seems like they do come. Even the Beatles, those songs came out of them one by one,
mm,
and but they were quick in the studio. They had great people around them. They could put out an album in a year. It's you know I would love to be able to work at that pace and do 20 songs in a year, and then choose, or and then pick the best
mm.
ones and put them all into an album. But that doesn't seem to be the pace that I'm working at right now. It would I would you know I, That's why it kind of does appeal to me to put out a song, and like we talked about recently, Tommy, about making that song your priority,
Mm.
and you work on that song, and that's your priority. And then it seems to me like then if you have a collection at the end there also, it's a higher quality collection than if you have an album. A lot of time has two or three really good songs and then some things that are thrown in, and maybe they're
Mm.
interesting, but they're the filler of the album. And like you said, in these days of iTunes, people just grab the hit and then they don't even listen to the rest of the album.
Mm.
Mm. Yeah. Marcel, what do you think?
Mm. Do you know things I was a bit worried about if I released just the singles and the singles and the singles. Um, First, the single has this atmosphere. Then 6 months or 7 months later, another single has a different atmosphere. And 8 months later, another single on a different atmosphere in the song. Because the songs are written in a different period of time and recorded in a different period of time. So these three singles are different. But but sometimes like it means, how can I say? If I just combine all the singles in one album, so let's say the three singles in one, that sounds maybe slightly bit awkward because it's different kind of atmosphere in each CDs. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't unite as a one CD, but you just collect all the CD and make it one album.
Yeah.
It's so if you want to make one album, you have to decide you make one album and there's the narrative and story or the atmosphere of all the songs should be the same. It's like a good example is let's say Radiohead's uh, has let's say was the Kings of Limbs, the last album, has each song has the same atmosphere and it's written in the probably same period of time, so that's okay. There's a totality in the album. But if you chose two songs from Kings of Limbs, two songs from Rainbows, two songs from let's say Kid A, and make an album, it sounds really awkward because
Mm.
different type of things. So danger of releasing singles all the time is you know maybe you get a bit of more exposure each time, but you don't have some kind of big solid kind of things that you can express yourself. Just little small things, little small things, little small things. But you need something like chunk. But so
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
a great
So
point. A lot of the great albums were recorded within a week or something. Like Nirvana's Nevermind, and that hit so big. It
mm,
had Nirvana's Nevermind had that same sound
yeah,
right there. Although the Rolling
yeah,
Stones, a lot of their albums were recorded like that,
mm,
like just like
yeah,
right there in the studio. David Bowie, they use these producers that were like, we got to get in here and do this fast, and so
mm.
the whole album had a
Mm.
cohesiveness in a way.
Yeah, cohesiveness. Yes, yes. That's the
Yeah,
word
I
I'm
guess.
looking to.
Great word. I'm keeping notes of everything you're saying because that really makes sense. Like I've written down that listening to an album is a great listening experience. It's an
Mm,
experience basically.
mm,
So a story is unfolding in front of your eyes, and I'll tell you my personal experience on this because Massa said it represents an era of time for the artist and what they were thinking about during that time while releasing singles can be annoying and the song can have an inconsistent feeling and you might get exposure but you're missing the solidity
mm.
of the narrative
Yeah, yeah,
maybe it's not really a popular way of doing it and it all comes down to the way you execute it, I guess. You might be able to do this to basically have a real-time narrative unfolding and then eventually what between releasing songs you have a story unfolding with different formats like videos and documentaries or live events or posts on social media. It's an ongoing narrative anyway. We are digital, we are all the time, we're online, and we are exposing ourselves through a status, through an update, through an event. This is also part of the album, it's part of the experience. My point is that, okay, the album, what we're discussing at the moment, we're just thinking um, only about the sonical bit of the album, you know, the music itself. Well, the album, it used to be an experience. Well, waiting for the album, that was part of the experience. You know, the rumors we were hearing while waiting for the release, that was part of the experience. That was creating a mystery. You know, what were the artists doing while we were
Uh,
waiting for the album, and the interviews and everything. That was part of the experience. Well, the experience now is an ongoing thing. We cannot be hidden, let's
Ah, yeah,
say. And that's
that's
part of
great.
an album as well.
yeah, it's kind of like the I discovered Lou Reed quite a long time ago, and if I listened to his singles, maybe I wasn't impressed. But because I bought one whole album and I spent the money on it, so I thought, okay, I should listen to from the top to the bottom, the top from first songs to the last song. And it takes a while to get it. And I have to listen to it again and again and again and again. Then once you get it, then you become like, wow, this guy is amazing. But in initial first songs, or first song, second songs, I don't get it. Maybe even the first listen to the whole album, I don't get it. But
Hmm.
second time, third time, maybe fourth listening, I got it. Then once you got it, then he's my hero actually now. So this is the great things about an album. But singles, you just go listen to it. I don't like it. Bye. That's it. Maybe. So
And it's great. It's great as an independent artist to be able to choose which song you want to put out there as your single. Whereas a lot of times, like yeah, Lou Reed and the Velvet Underground. I mean, they weren't popular back when they were, well, they were popular in small circles, I guess, but
mm,
they weren't mainstream. They influenced so many bands that we
yeah,
all went back and rediscovered them, and their work had already been curated for us almost by these music critics and
yeah,
said, this is the good stuff,
that's
this
the
is the good
great.
stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I was also a fan of REM when they first came out, and were still very mysterious and strange. But if you once they signed into the major, once they got off IRS records and went to Warner Brothers released Stand and Shiny Happy People, and these songs that if you weren't familiar with their early stuff, you would say, well, this band's kind of silly, they're kind of they're,
Mm.
they're kind of a silly band, and like they uh, who knows? But I guess what I'm saying is whether the single is kind of chosen by the record company or the artist, and they make an agreement that this is going to be the one with its most radio friendly and will be have
Mm.
most mass appeal, that might not be really an accurate reflection of an artist's genius. But me, for example, I can sit there, I can really decide what I want to put out there, as my first piece of music, and sometimes it might just be the one that I finished first, and I'm just going to put that
Mm.
out there. But I hear what you're saying, Tommy, about the whole, the in a way, and the album, it used to be the whole experience, and you'd wait and wait and wait, and then you'd hear it and you listen to it 100 times and take out the poster and do,
Yeah,
have all this and all the pre-release, now it's we've got to create that narrative on, like you said, we can't hide behind our mystery so much. We have to kind of put ourselves out there. And I like that idea. That's a question I have is, there's always got to be mystery for there to be intrigue, and there's got to be something about where you are reaching out to your fans, but you've got to create that anticipation,
mm.
even and can't just put everything out immediately and show them everything behind the scenes. There's got to be some
Mm.
reserve that you've got to maintain.
It's
Maybe.
that is great, John. I wrote down that what I've written down according to what you were saying. An artist today can decide what they can put together as an album, but my question is, do they know what's best? Because in the past, as you said, the labels were indeed controlling the narrative, but they were good at it, and they had a team of people behind. So they knew what the best outlets are, how to reach out to them, how to trigger the audience's emotions, and how to sell best the album and control the narrative. And after Napster came in, this narrative, this mediatization that was attached to the music, it started, unbundling. So then you had just the digital sound, which has no story. There's no mediatization process in the whole thing. So that makes me wonder, like, was it really good for the album and for the artist that now we can have just the sound? Basically, the way that I'm thinking about it is that we had one specific format of explaining ourselves through an album, and that was the CD. It was attached to this physical format. We had a story, and the labels were controlling it. Eventually, the Napster comes in the game and removes the music from the whole album, and now we can unbundle the whole album in pieces, and we don't need to have the story attached to it. Now if we want to listen to just one song, we can do that. But this is like unbundling the whole album, basically. But unbundling can help us reinvent it. And this is why I think that today this demediatization is not really bad. It's just an opportunity of reinventing the experience of the album, because now this is an ongoing thing. We can have different formats. We can have a live performance, like what we're doing now. We could be playing live music and having a Q&A. And my question is, in the past, we couldn't involve really the people, or fans, or any other executives that could give us advice, any mentors. But now we can do that. Now we can have the demo songs, and we can ask them, what do you think is the best? We can have a team of people. Yes, we can decide on our own, but do we know what's best? We just one mind. Before, it was a team of people. So I think now the team of people are the ones that care about us, our fans, and that is a great way of getting some feedback and making some more well-informed decisions. Like that's the way that I'm thinking about this.
Yeah.
So I wrote. So just let me complete the sentences. An artist today can decide what they can put together as an album, but do they know what's best? How much should they involve others? Labels used to control the narrative, and they were good at this. Today we have to control the narrative, and we're not really sure. So this is the ethical, like the dilemma right here. What do you think, Marcel?
Well, yeah, it's a great point, Tommy. What we have done is we streamed our writing session about 3 times, and each writing session was quite long because we were just rehearsing in my Neil's workshop, so it's about 2 hours, and we just start off just setting in the camera, and just using the laptop, and then we just start writing and talking to Neil, Neil talking to me, do this, do that, do that, do that, that. Then we are showing a new writing session of new songs, and we just spend the same thing and again and again and again and again, and ages and da 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 da. But one of my our fans, he lives in France. He's really devoted what we do, and he was watching this actually, and he was emailing, saying he emailed me and saying, I know you are rehearsing a new song called No Fixed Meanings, but I have some ideas to make the songs better. And he sent a link to the YouTube link to listen to this band called Television and blah blah blah. I think you need more bass line. Blah, blah, blah. Then I thought, oh, that's an interesting point. We didn't think that way, but he thought that way. He just give us a new opinion. And then I thought, okay, this is his opinion. Oh, okay, what should I do? And then so this is something. It's kind of like what's happening now in this and all this web situation. You can just broadcast your writing process and then get some ideas from other people. So yeah.
Okay, that sounds brilliant. I think it's like there's more like a sacred place, what happens while a musician composes music.
Yeah.
It's more like, yeah, nobody has to see this. I'm pretty glad that we're changing our mindset around this. Who is allowed to watch this process of creation without us destroying that process, obviously. Because if we
It's
focus on pleasing somebody else, then we destroy our own creativity because we are
yeah.
focusing on something else. So that is left to see. I mean, we'll see. It's quite exciting to see this change happening.
I
You
would
know?
imagine that like it's really it's well, first of all, it's the difference between broadcasting and collaborating. Like if you're kind of you create it all yourself and then you just put it out there and it's set in stone and there it is. But you know, it's almost like if you have the confidence and
Oh,
the integrity to well, to take like what you did, Masa, and somebody said, "Hey, I hear this, listen to this band, and like here's some
oh yeah.
feedback." And if it was crappy feedback, if they were, were saying something that you just did not agree with, you would just dismiss it. But you listened to television, and heard what they heard, and it's just so cool when your fans are people who they resonate with your music, and their feedback makes sense because you're on kind of the same wavelength. And I can tell from your taste in music, you and I are on the same wavelength because I love television and Tom
Yeah.
Do
Verlaine.
Well,
collaborate, please. Do collaborate.
Yeah, we should collaborate. I love it. I
uh,
love Radiohead, all that stuff. But yeah, so sometimes I've well, what I've been doing is going and taking my songs out to a lot of open mics and local places around and getting feedback from other musicians.
mm,
I mean, a lot of times your fans are fellow musicians and people who you gravitate towards that kind of like the same stuff you do, and so you actually really respect their feedback. And I and I'm a very solitary person usually. Like I really um, like tend to have shied away from collaborating, or I do like the idea of the artist in my own little tower, my little basement, whatever, and alone and creating on my own. I mean, I love that idea, hiding in the studio. So it's been a big step for me recently to actually go out there and play as much as possible and not waiting for the big gigs, but even go out to open mics and
mm.
small, very small shows and just speak, mainly to work on my craft as far as performing. Um, but then I notice I'm getting a lot of feedback about the songs. Not people aren't very critical to, but they will tell me which ones they really like, and that's a good thing.
Yeah. I used to be scared of criticism actually. You know, if it's a good feedback, it's great, but sometimes it's very tough feedback. And but now, even the tough feedback, if someone say something to our music, I appreciate it, even though it's a tough feedback, even though bad or crap or whatever. I don't like this song or whatever. But it's just the people has a different opinion, and sometimes it's it's hard to what should I do to improve the songs because people say different things to one song. You know,
Yes.
the reason why I said we are writing three songs and one song in one single and another two songs in different single. So we are trying to release two singles in one go. So one single has two songs. The reason why is because this one song is slightly different, has a slightly different characteristic because it was quite old song. So we are kind of rewriting it because it's one of a fan. This French guy really liked this song. So okay, maybe we should rewrite, then make it something a little bit different. So this is old songs. This is slightly structured different. So I thought we shouldn't combine all these three songs in one single. So we try instead of singing the three songs in one single. I just tried to make it one single for this song, one single for two other songs, and so kind of slightly different characteristics. Maybe it's a good idea. Maybe it's not a good idea. I don't know because some fan doesn't know that this this song it's not written long time ago, or we are not we they don't know we working on this old song. Um, but it's like, I don't know. It's different opinions given, ejected. We're getting different opinions, and sometimes we get confused. And what's the best way? What's the best way to improve our songs? But I think it's very healthy. Then at the end of the day, we are the one who decided. You know, But when it comes to in the relation with the business, is it tough? Because we are the one who decide at the end of the day. But also we want to be a full-time musician, and if the songs doesn't sell much, what maybe we had a wrong choice. I don't know. It's just difficult things, I think.
I don't think there is right or wrong choice. There's just you have the freedom to choose now. In the past, we didn't have the freedom to choose, and now that's the daunting bit. Obviously, with freedom comes responsibility. So it is about collecting opinions and seeing your situation through the lens of somebody else and respecting what they have to say, but then it's you that makes the final judgment, obviously, and you control the vision. Now, this vision, how is it going to be executed? It's going to be executed in a way that creates momentum, and starts getting great feedback, and people get on board, and then it start talking about it, word of mouth. Or is it something very experimental, and you take the risk of failure, although this is a cool idea, but you haven't tried it before, so you try it, and then it doesn't work that well, so you lose momentum. It's up to you, but that's the beauty of the creation, obviously. And I think this is also something that we can do today. In the past, we couldn't do that. We just had to just throw something out, and then if it succeeds, then yeah, great. If it doesn't succeed, then your last year or two are lost, because you were working on them, and that's it. So now the risk, I think, is a little bit smaller compared to the past. You release one single, it's alright. One single, it's not going to be that bad if it's not well accepted. But in the past, you had to work for this, for at least a year. So I think still it's not that bad. It's all about getting some information, I think. As an artist, we like creating for ourselves. We like doing things, and our creative process is impervious of external judgment. We don't really think about how are people going to perceive this when we write. We just write because we love it. But then once we release it, then it starts becoming a little bit like the doubt or the criticism or everything else. So it's quite subjective how you think about it. It can be empowering, it can be quite limiting, and there's no right or wrong, I think. What about you, John?
No, well, I was thinking exactly what you said. That now you have the opportunity to throw things out there, as they say in the marketing world. Throw things against the wall and see what sticks, and that's kind of a I don't know what the word is, a funny way to say it, but the idea that like, for example, like a blogger will do that nowadays. Like now we live in a time of where people will start a blog, it doesn't catch on, they'll start a different blog, they'll finally realize that this one article hits, it goes viral. It's wow, that one did it. So what did I do in that what was it, the subject matter? What is it, how I presented it? And it's like you can approach your music the same way, and and there's always the balance between your artistic vision and what seems to be resonating with other people, and that can help polish you in a way by putting your stuff out there and being willing to try different things. I really get that idea what you're saying, Tommy, where the doing it little pieces gives you more freedom to experiment or see what works and then see what doesn't work. And Masa, like what you said about how all the fans don't know, they're not familiar with your whole catalog. It might be an old song to you and some of your other fans, but to somebody else that might be they don't know that. So really some of these things are evergreen, I guess is the way to say it. some of the music can be that way until you become so well known that everybody knows your catalog.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
that's a good problem to have, you know. Then you
yeah.
can really have some momentum. Yeah, I mean, I'm beginning to really buy into the idea of the singles now. Like, I think that is, and even the demos, Tommy. What do both of you think about that? Like, have you released very basic demos, versions of songs, and put those out to people?
Um,
Um, oh, Masa, you go first.
I think I did one song. I think because I sometimes send out newsletter, and I think I attached to the file of the demo of new song, and yeah, I got only one feedback about this this song. So, but yeah, this I did once, yeah. But I know lots of people doing it through SoundCloud. Just put the demos. Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah.
there is I have personal experience with this. There is one artist that recently did this. She's called Olivia, and she sent me an EP of 4 songs, and she asked me, "What do you think about this?" I got excited, and I started writing. Listening to all the songs and just writing um, comments about specific bits of the song. And I said, like, this song is really catchy. I love the bass line. The drums sound a little bit slacky, a little bit like not so well produced. Like this bass line is very catchy. This is the hook. This is amazing, for example. Or this song is quite indifferent, but the chorus the chorus is amazing. So that was really great. I don't know what she does with the feedback. She said that she has a team of people that gave her feedback as well, and I think that's very interesting because it becomes you make more well-informed decisions. You come up with things that you don't know that were there in your songs. We also had a workshop about business models, and we had a little exercise. So we had a listening party. One guy said, "Okay, let's play this song that I've written," and everybody started listening. So the whole thing was, while we're listening to the song, we write everything that pops in mind while listening to it. Any kind of thought. Like I was thinking about a man, a male, getting out of a club 6 o'clock in the morning. It's really early in the morning. He gets out of the club, feeling very confident. Something happened in there, we don't know. And the song starts playing. It's like sugar, things like that. It was like a little bit R&B
Yeah.
pop. And then he starts walking confidently, and then like we see the sun rising, things like that. I started writing these things, and everybody gave feedback on what they were thinking about the song. And they're going like,
Yeah.
wow, I didn't write it thinking about these things, but
Oh,
it's really great.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
demos can do that. You don't need to produce the song, and go and master it and this and that. You can do this listening party, or you can get feedback about specific bits of the song and then see what people like. If everybody says that this is a hit, then maybe you should record it, or maybe you could
Yeah.
make it part of the album. This gives you a lot of information. I think this is it. I will do this personally. I wouldn't do this now because I start changing my style of music, and I will add traditional Greek and Mediterranean elements in it, in the dark synth rock music that I play. So imagine Depeche Mode with some traditional Middle Eastern, Mediterranean, Greek instruments in it, and rhythms and melodies. So it's going to be quite interesting. Now the results are very interesting, and I have a lot of demos. So I will start doing this. Maybe I will even send you some songs so you can tell me what you think, because I want to
That'd
see
be
what
great.
people perceive, these new creations as, and it's going to be quite interesting. I mean, everything that's in my mind is not the right thing; it's just my mind. Now, what other people think, it might be more good collectively to crowdsource the knowledge. Because now what we're doing is we're discussing a subject.
Mm.
This subject, we're concerned about this, and we gather knowledge. We can do the same about a song. It's our song. We're sentimentally attached to it, but still, we can get collective knowledge about this, and people can say that, yeah, what they think, and we can be the final decision makers. It can be more like we're more like art directors than music composers this way. If we choose
Interesting.
to collaborate instead of broadcast something, you know.
Hmm.
But anyway, I mean, yeah, that's my experience in terms of demo songs.
Well, is it I know the one Japanese singer-songwriter. He's extremely well known in Japan. He's just a huge. He people called him a melody maker, but every time he writes some new songs, he just make a demo and then lets other other people from outside or some assistants for their new opinion about these songs and how should I change and stuff. So I think getting third person's opinion is very important, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, an idea I had and I did this recently, is I am similar. Well, I play acoustic guitar and I sing, so I don't have a lot of at least my demos are not electronic. So I decided I wanted to put a video demo instead of me just recording something and putting on SoundCloud. I recorded myself on video playing a very basic version of it. It's just me singing and playing the acoustic. And I noticed that every so how that goes is that every time I sing or play the song, it's a bit different. It's not where I've got a demo that's at least structured and I've got the best vocal take and I've got the rhythm programmed and this. It's more like here's me and my acoustic guitar. So every demo I would produce of that song, or even before I released it, but I mean every time I recorded it and watched it back, and they were all very different. And I said, wow, that's an interesting thing. I've got to kind of choose the one I like best and then put that out there. But I'm not going to put out a new version of that song every day. I mean, I've got to kind of go with the one I like. But I just thought that video is an interesting way to mix the performance of the song with the like what you said, Tommy, the sonic the sonic part of the song. And and it's funny because the video I put up on my site is I don't know if it's the best representation of the song because I'm not getting any feedback on the site. It's kind of gloomy, and Tommy knows I'm kind of always in the dark here, and I'm except and I've always got this But then when I go perform the song, people go, oh, I love that song, and somebody told me that song could be a hit, But I think people are much more reserved about kind of like really giving you feedback on something you've published. I don't know if that makes sense, but sometimes getting people to give you honest feedback almost only happens, at least for me, like face to face. Like if I just performed the song and I said, hey, what did you think, and please tell me, give me your honest opinion, But I like what you're saying, Tommy, listening parties and when you're really inviting people to to even like you said, play a game. What do you visualize when you hear this song and different things like that? Those are good ideas.
Really, really good stuff. I'm just writing the note. It's just really brilliant stuff. Yeah, it's. I will send you all these notes. Obviously, I will publish them for everybody else to read. Because it's like this could be like a little parade of tweets of really eye-catching tweets for all the things that you said so far. So yeah, that's how do you get feedback? What's the best way? That's something we need to explore. It's very subjective, It's what works for somebody might not work for somebody else. But I think it's a very interesting question. How do you get feedback on the demos? Since now we're good with the idea of demos and we don't discard it. So just so we can wrap up, I think we're just about to hit 1 hour. Let's get back to the initial question of the Hangout. So what is the story behind your album? I would like you guys to tell me the story, like 2, 3, 4 minutes, the story of your album, why you made the album, and what it meant for you, and why it had the structure, etc. Who wants to start?
Okay. Right. We released the album in 2011, so it's nearly 4 years ago. There's 10 songs in it, but the out of 10 songs, 4 songs are already previously recorded, and at the time we had a manager, but it's a kind of manager. It's manager, I can say, but he said he told us that we should make an album by the end of the year, and we thought, my God, it's only like 4 months or 4 months away, but we thought we should do it. So we immediately working on 6 other songs, and then combine all these 4 songs because we have to make a product stand at the end of the year.
Mm.
So just you might know the ideal way, but it's just 4 songs is already recorded, then it's new 6 new songs, and made album. So the recording condition is slightly different, but overall we use the same producer, so same engineer actually. So it went well. It was good actually. We are happy about the results. So sometimes this kind of pressure gives us oh, we have to do it. We have to do it. And then other 6 songs are done. So, but is the pressure should be comes from someone who we believe into, I think, because at the
Mm.
time we believe in this manager, and I thought, okay, we trust him, and okay, let's do it. So that's why we did it. Yeah, that's the story behind the album. Or should I say other things? I don't know.
No, it's an open question. So
Yeah, okay.
okay, John.
Yeah, well, I'm still working on my debut album, my first album, and I'm still in the kind of the arranging, the demos and things like that. So I guess I'll talk about the kind of the concept behind my album is mental illness. I've always suffered from, depression and anxiety. Like a lot of us, have had difficult times, and it's something that like I've already mentioned Pink Floyd. I was always really into their earlier stuff, and a lot in Radiohead. All these bands are, that's kind of what they sing about. And the band Sonic Youth,
Mm.
they have a song called Schizophrenia, and I love that song, and it has that motoric beat, like in the Kraftwerk. It's like boom boom bapa boom boom bapa boom boom. Like I don't know, that just like seems to me like that kind of tied my concept together, where it's like the driving force of the insanity, the voices in your head. I mean, I don't know. And so I just noticed also, since this is my first songwriter, I'm bringing all these songs I wrote all my life. Some of them go back into times, really dark times, even some even back in my teenage years, and bringing them all together. And the ones that I really love are the ones that came out of darkness and being haunted and you know that but so I kind of those are the ones where I kind of am forming the songs out of. But I also am going through changes in my life where things are getting a lot better, and I'm fixing a lot of those problems. I don't really have those problems anymore. I feel like I know, I've been enlightened in many ways, and I know how to, how to go towards the light and what's important. So one thing that really struck me was uh the band Throwing Muses. They're an American band, and they were all woman band, kind of back in the late 80s. And the anyway, they're from Massachusetts. They're really cool. But one that now there's one of the guitar players is a solo artist, and she had her songs are really dark. And then one of her fans committed suicide outside of her concert, and had her name tattooed on her, and it just really struck her. So there's all these really dark, artists like it. And she said at that point she realized she can't write songs that just take people to a really dark place and just leave them there, that they need to go to the dark place but also lead them out a ways, give them some hope. And that's kind of the concept of all my songs now, and how like I see this album going is like it's kind of flowing from songs of like maybe darkness and desperation, but I'm also trying to have that hopefulness of like reaching people. Like I've got one song where I talk about, put all these screens away, and let's see each other face to face. And those songs seem to resonate with people a lot better. I notice, like instead of just the depressing darkness, it's like that's great, but then when you give people a bit of real hope, or not no, hope's not the right word, but like real humanity, be kind of vulnerable and you know So if that all makes sense, that's kind of my concept. Is like it's
Mm.
my uncle's really suffered from schizophrenia. I had mild autism and things, but it's all, it's real mild. Like really, I think what I have is a compassion, and I relate to people who, um, have, you know, darkness or loneliness and that kind of thing. And so that's kind of what I'm writing these songs about. That's why I really like the idea of the whole concept album
Mm.
in a way, because it ties that theme together for me. And then who knows, maybe my next album will just be, happy dance music or something. But this
I
batch
don't
where
think so,
yeah.
I think you should, John. I think you should work on an entire album. I think if you make if you because it might take more time, but you can send your important message across to the audience than probably the singles. Yeah, because there's a narrative and there's the volume, and what you're talking about has a you can't just express it in one song. Probably you need to express as a some big bunch. Then this is me. I think. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I think
Yeah.
for especially for kind of the first one I'm working on that pulls all these things together, I don't. It's like I haven't really made the step where I put something out and then people are waiting for how long is it going to take me to do the next one. It's like I do have a little more freedom to work on these, and I really like the idea of uh, the pressure that you talked about. Like go ahead and say, okay, if I do an album, or if I go ahead and say I'm going to do 12 songs and get them all ready, to really put that pressure and say, okay, but set a deadline and you've got to do this in 2 months
but
or a month, and don't say it's going to take a
Yeah.
year or something, and see what comes out of that.
hmm that's really brilliant, John. It's good. I'm looking forward now to listening to this.
Oh,
Th th
good.
this is a great thing. I mean, this is the story, behind the album. It's the promotion itself. It's something that can help you create a lot of material outside the musical sphere of the album, and you can connect with so many different outlets, like a magazine that talks about these issues, or a website that discusses, schizophrenia or any mental illnesses that you highlight in your album, and all the dark moments. And this is a great way of breaking the 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 barriers of just the musical sphere or influence of the album, you know. Because this way, if you just make music, then you have to go to talk to music blogs. But you also talk about some important issues, and you can talk with some other blogs or magazines about this, or partner with somebody, so we can have some extra exposure or bring more people in the story. People will connect with different sides of the story, of your story, of the album. I think that's another powerful thing of an album, and you cannot really connect so much with just a single. But with an album that has a concept behind it, you can start connecting with different aspects. I think that's quite interesting. Really quick replying myself to the question about the album. Um, First of all, it took us a lot of months to record the first song because my vocals were quite poor and I was not feeling comfortable. So it took me at least 4 months to record just the vocals of a song. But then I thought, all right, I'll do it. I'll make sure I record things faster, and then I got over the problems that were holding me back. So we started recording an album, which took very little time compared to the first EP that we released. And the reason is because basically I was composing the whole music and I was putting it on a software, FL Studio, as a rough demo. So we knew the structure of the song before going to the studio. And then we're putting things, with real instruments and making the quality of the electronics better. But the whole album was basically an autobiography. I was talking about myself, and I was talking about my ex-girlfriend, and I was talking about the the sentimental side of mine that I couldn't express through words because I became quite rough after I broke up with the love of my life. So basically that was an expression of me, of who it was, and I never released this album. we actually never released it. We created a series of videos of little stories having our music as a background, but we actually never released it. So now there is an album that has been recorded, that was recorded 2 years, no, 3 years ago, and has not been released, and there is videos and everything. And we performed it live, but we haven't released it. And the reason is because I started changing. I think that was that when Masa said, when you release an album, that's something that you do it now and expresses yourself, who you are. But when we recorded the songs, I was going through my life. I was quitting the army, and I was going through the independent side of doing things and exploring London, and all the new difficulties that came up. And I started becoming a different person. So I started feeling more hesitant to put something out that doesn't express me today.
Totally.
So that's why I haven't released it today, and it doesn't make any sense now. Like, hey, here is something that doesn't express who I am, and it has been recorded a few years ago.
That's
So
yeah.
this was anyway. I mean, there's so many questions to be discussed, and I know that Masa had the same issue, about maybe re-recording some old songs and put them together in an album, and that's something that he was thinking about as well. But this is the story of the album that we recorded but we never released. And now that I'm thinking about changing the style of music, this is an extra barrier of getting my previous music released. And and probably I will be always wondering what would have happened if I had released that album. So anyway, these are just
Yeah, yeah.
some of the questions. I think we're running over time, so I would like to keep it like strictly 1 hour, so we can keep
Mm.
it short and sweet, so people can watch. Anyway, a lot of things to be discussed. The more people that join, the more questions we'll have, and the more interesting it will become. Before we hang up, I would like you, John and Masa, to tell me like a couple of sentences, your takeaways from today. What are they, John?
Well, one takeaway is that the that maybe in terms of what I'm doing, an album makes sense, and another takeaway is that it's we artists now have so much more freedom that we did than a lot of our limitations or I don't know, our hesitations or doubts are really self-imposed, and I think that that like you said, Tommy, freedom has responsibility. So we really are responsible for our own narratives, for being video producers, being directors of our narrative and all that. That's kind of what I'm taking away from this, is like, but it's not as simple as just I get to just write songs. It's more that if that you actually you know you're creating an entire a story about yourself and about your music, that you've got many different ways to present it nowadays. And you know it's exciting to me. That's exciting. It's challenging, it's hard, and they've got to do many different things that used to be left to a team of people, and maybe someday you can delegate those things. But I don't know if anybody else can do what we're talking about, telling my story or your story or the music that you're sharing with the world, you
Mm.
know. And I
Okay.
think we're all
What's
into
that?
very deep music, important music, and music that matters, and that makes it even more difficult, but it's exciting and challenging.
Mm.
Thank you, John. And Masa, what are your takeaways from today?
Um, I think two things. I totally agree that what you, Tommy, said. Just to throw the songs out there, then you can get the third person's opinion. And I think I should do more so we can be more objective about our songs. The another thing is the like John said that our album has a narrative, and album is probably is the best way to express who you are than the single, because it's the volume, and I think volume comes from depth as well, and a coherence with other songs. And yeah, this is I just kind of start forgetting about this the beauty of the album. So this is a great kind of revalue the value of the album actually, and I like that so very much. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for that. And let me see from my notes. So basically, my takeaways are that today we have we are the decision makers. We are the curators of our art. It doesn't mean that we will create everything 100%. We might get feedback. We might get external opinions, but we are the final decision makers, and we are curating the whole input of information we're getting. So number one is this, and number two is that singles can actually be annoying if we don't think of it in terms of a narrative. It is not about just the album; it's about the narrative, and the album has it has an inherent narrative in it. So I think it's about thinking about the narrative in a different way in a digital world where we can have things real time and we can add different formats, videos. Maybe some chats or live performances or documentaries or anything else that is interactive, not just broadcasting. But it's a different form of narrative. We just need to tame it because now it looks a little overwhelming. We're not used to it. So these are the two takeaways that I have. Okay, so just to sum up, I would just like to read before we hang out. I would like to read what Chuck Hughes said. He said, "I'll be asleep in Hawaii in 4 hours." Basically, when I invited him, said, "I'm here playing a festival. But the most significant part of my first album story was hiring Taz Bentley, drummer of Rev Horton Heat, to drum on the record. This became our talking point for journalists and suddenly equated into thousands more CDs sold. We also put a sticker on the front of the CD advertising his performance." So this is an interesting fact about his album. He hired a musician that he was really well known, so this way he got a lot of exposure and he could mention him as a partner, and he sold many more CDs talking about partners.
Oh yeah.
So that's quite interesting. So okay, so that was a pretty random way of doing the hangout. Hopefully we'll get more well formatted in the future. The more we do it, the more well formatted it will become. Thank you, John, for being here. Thank you, Masa, for sharing your opinions. I'm really glad you met each other. I hope everybody can meet each other
Me too.
at some point.
Yeah, great to meet you, Masa.
Oh, great to meet you, John.
This will be on YouTube, I guess, when I hit stop broadcast, so you can watch it again. And I will make sure I include. I'll make sure I include these notes down in the description of YouTube, as well as your links over here.
All right, beautiful.
So thank you, beautiful people.
Fantastic.
Thanks for being here.
Fantastic.
John, go take a quick nap because it's like 6 o'clock, 6:25 over there. Make sure you get some sleep.
Yeah. I'm a vampire, and the sun is coming up, and I'm gonna
hide
or something if I don't get under the covers quick.
All right. Okay, guys. Thanks a lot for being here, and I'll speak to you soon. Any question? We got email. We got Patreon. We'll talk about that.
Okay. Awesome, Tommy. Awesome.
Thank you very much, Tommy. Thank you, John.
Cheers, guys.
Yeah. I'll be in touch, Masa. I'd like to
definitely.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cool.
Cheers.
All right.
Bye.
Good night. Good morning.